Everybody has
So God is faithful in justice and in mercy. Alright? So when we see God doing this in Israel, we should take stock and say God can do the same thing to us. And that is the thing that most people forget. So we can cast stones at the Jews. They say, hang on, what about us? Abortion rate in Britain is almost the same as in Israel. From 1960 to now, we have killed more babies in England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland than all the soldiers that died in the First and Second World War fighting for Britain. And that's astonishing. Our hands are blood. We can't go saying, wow. Then we talk about lying. I'm a teacher. I lecture in college. And the kids coming through the system from secondary school, they've got no manners. Very few have. But when I investigate...
I'm a teacher too. I back you up 100%.
Yeah.
We see what we see.
They come in class. Oh, sorry, sir, I'm late. Okay, good boy. Then some would just go... Bad manners. When we were growing up,
but this is why I agree with you. And I say that this flag here right now, thinking about its theological implications and the mandate of the Bible, that's another argument. But and the way the government acts and the way it conducts itself, I think, as a Christian, I'm not a Christian. I think.
Yeah,
I sometimes like you're very like the critical thinking kind of lacks, and it becomes a tribal thing almost. Like, okay, I'm going to now support, like this lady for example. I'm supporting Israel because on the other hand, they're Muslim suffering. So I think that kind of derives away from the biblical narrative.
Can you allow me to speak, sir?
No, you're my elder, so of course you can see.
See, it's not like that. In actual fact, let's look at what's going on the ground. At times we need to look at what's realistically taking place to be able to speak clearly with clear morality.
I agree.
Clear Christian morality. What's going on ground in Israel today and Palestine is something which is a system of wickedness which is called thesis and antithesis and false thesis. Now, that there's only for all those complicated, but that's what the real situation is. There is a group of individuals who basically are following a dictate in the Quran. And they are Muslims. Not all Muslims follow those dictates, but it is in the Quran for them to follow it, but not all of them follow it. The Hamas, the Hezbollah, and so many, these jihadists, what they are doing is actually what the Quran
tells
instructs them. In the Quran, in the Hadith, in the Sunnah, it is spoken of clearly.
What contradiction?
Totally clear.
So only the West can't understand it.
The Arabian Peninsula, even the whole world, but starting in the Arabian Peninsula, is supposed to be made purely clear of anyone of any other belief. If every single Jewish man today becomes sincerely a Muslim in their heart, everything will end. It will end today. Are you getting the point? If they won't bother about, the land, no. Muslim. They will be at peace. Are you getting the point?
Yeah. May I respond?
Before you respond.
Sure.
All right. I want to bring up 3 points. First point. When there was about to be, you remember the Abraham Accord?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fears.
When the Abraham Accord came, and the grounds for the Abraham Accord is enough for Christians, Muslims, and Jews. Just using the general knowledge, which really is not the case. But let's just use the general attempts at belief of faith of each one of those religions. The Arabians should be inviting the Jews in. There should be a cover for them. The same way we in Africa covered the blacks who were now set free from slavery in North America, South America, and Middle America, and then said that they don't want to stay here anymore. Syria. They want to go back home. Liberia was given to them. There were people in Liberia now. There were Africans in Liberia. We welcome them back with open arms to today. But that was not done in Palestine, supposedly in the land that is called Israel. biblically. That was not done.
Yeah, respect.
So, go ahead.
Well, respectfully,
Yeah.
I think you've kind of given us a very simplistic history because your history starts with Hamas, which was voted in 2006.
How are you, man of Israel? Man of God.
History in Palestine doesn't start in 2006. It starts in 1906. If you want to say even earlier than that, when the first European Jews
They should
are
know.
leaving Europe
They're just shouting out of
due
ignorance.
to the Dreyfus affair in France. Dreyfus was a Jewish general who was discriminated because he was Jewish. So people like Theodor Herzl were inspired and galvanized
You have to know what you're arguing about. And you know your stuff, don't you?
Aliyah
Otherwise, I'll be flooded
back
by
to Israel.
protesters.
And this is where the history really
That's what
starts.
they call winter mob.
Now, it is very complex. I'm not going to pinpoint. I'm not going to say it's only the Jewish who are part of the reason why this is happening. Because there's three parties involved. There are the Europeans who are involved. The Europeans are involved. The remnants of what the Ottoman Empire is involved. And the Jewish people who are coming in are involved. So there's three parties. And each of them want different things.
Can I? All right, go on.
So when that region was called the Mandate of Palestine, it was ruled and managed by the British. Because the Ottoman Empire had disintegrated, right? And when the Jewish people were coming in, a lot of the rich Arab landowners were actually selling the land to Jewish people. And they were like accommodating. In 1936, there was a rebellion because the Arabs were like, hold on. All of these people who are coming here are buying the land and they're jeopardizing our livelihood, right? And then when that happens, the British, they're like, oh, there's conflict here. We kind of gonna wash our hands off this. We're gonna stop immigration.
They didn't just wash that. They didn't initially wash their hands. What they did is they set a limit of about 6 months.
I'm saying this. They stopped immigration, and they said, now all these Jewish people, you can't come anymore. So at one point we had Jewish illegal immigrants who were coming through boats and to come to Israel because the British said, no, you can't come. So this is the bedrock of what happens afterwards.
Now let me give you see, at times it is wiser to be simplistic because there are complexities involved. Are you a brain surgeon?
I'm not a brain surgeon.
Good.
But I'm aware of history.
No. There's a reason I said that. I didn't say to be rude to you. No.
Yeah.
I said it to make you understand my perspective.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you if you're a brain surgeon to say, oh, are you smart? No.
Yeah.
I'm saying to you that, do you use your brain?
Yes, I do. I try to.
Do you need to know the complexities of the synapses and the things going on in your brain?
No, I don't.
That was why I was simplistic. Now let's go to the depths that you mentioned. When the Ottomans came and overtook the land because they were expanding their kingdom, and they took it from the remnant of the Roman stroke, some of the Egyptian stroke, so many nations that have been fighting over that piece of land, and it was a barren piece of land.
And that's wrong. That's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. That's a European invention.
No, it's not a European.
It is.
My brother.
It is.
My brother, it is not a European invention.
It is.
Listen, history is history.
Yeah.
Records are available.
Yeah.
People who went and visited the land in the 1869s, 1881s.
It's wrong. I respectfully disagree with that interpretation of history.
No. So in other words, if there's evidence of that history on the ground, it's irrelevant.
There's no evidence. There's no evidence to that.
There was no evidence
No.
to that. So there was in the Sinai, or let me even put it better, in the Judea part of Israel, there was a lot of wonderful, fantastic, lush land.
No, it was agricultural, and there were farmers on that land.
Agricultural?
Yeah, there was farmers on
Do
that
you
land.
know what has had to be done to make that land agriculturable? Do you know what they had to be invested to make the land cultivatable? There wasn't an agriculture there.
But that's your interpretation of history.
It's not interpretation.
It is.
So if you came to a piece of land and then you had to basically make
the same way when Americans went to North America, there was nothing. The same way the same way when the Dutch and the British went to South Africa, there was nothing. It's the same way.
There's a very big difference here.
No, but that's
you know the very big difference here. The land was already preoccupied by a power, the Ottoman Empire, and there's something you have not said in your history, which is part of history, that the Ottoman Empire at its initial stages didn't just occupy the land, it expunged a lot of people, and a lot of the Jews were expunged. That is the first expulsion.
What time period are we talking about?
We're talking of about the 1600s to around the 19th century, the early 19th century, so about the 1600s, in that gap, in that area.
But there was a very considerable amount of Jewish people that lived in Istanbul, which is called Istanbul right now. So there was loads of Jewish people in that.
Look, let us admit some things.
It's not about admitting. Just
we have to admit history.
History is constructed. Okay?
Excuse me, sir.
History is a construction.
No. Wait a minute. Wait there. I know about.
You have to allow me to respond as well.
Yeah, but I know about this attempt. I won't call it an attempt. That won't be proper language. This statement that history is based on whoever is the writer of history.
I'm not saying that.
Or the victor in history.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Sir, there are marks, objects of evidence in history. That it doesn't matter how old or how overwritten or how misconstrued or how painted the history is, it comes out. I can tell you about the history of certain parts of Nigeria now. They talk about the Bronze Age. We had the Bronze Age and then the Iron Age. We had the Iron Age in Nigeria, in around areas called the Nok culture area, around certain areas of the Igbos, which existed as far back as the 4000s, 5000s. Which, if you speak to any of these European historians, some of them admit it.
I agree.
But not all of them know about it.
I agree.
So please, let us admit
May I respond?
You are going to respond, and I'm going to keep quiet. Empirical data exists. Go ahead, respond.
Now, all I'm saying is this. One of the integral parts when it comes to history is the interpretation of that data that you're talking about. Artifacts, sightings, archaeological findings are all interpreted, and that interpretation varies. There are different schools, and that's what I'm trying to say to you, that your interpretation of that place being barren is a very Eurocentric.
No.
It is a very. I'm saying to you that in the 19th
perspective.
No, but I can.
You don't know what I used to interpret the causality of the empirical data I've known. You don't know that, so you can't make that claim.
I am referring.
You've made a claim that my perspective on that on the data of history is basically Eurocentric. You can't say that. You don't know what has been the criteria, the constraints that have used.
I wasn't finished. I'm not saying that you have a Eurocentric mind frame when you think about this. I'm saying that I'm divorcing the claim from you, your person. I'm saying that claim in particular. If you look at the literature around the 19th century and the way Europeans were reporting about that place, this is where the origin comes from of this was a barren place. There's plenty of literature about this.
All right. So now let me just come back to you on that. Were there actually any physical Jews living in the land?
Yes, they were.
Were there actually any physical Arabs living in the land? Yes. They were.
Yeah.
Were there actually non-Arabs and non-Jews living in the land?
Yes.
I'm happy you said that.
Yeah.
So
Samaritans, different type of Christians. Yeah. Different people. Yeah.
Even the Lebanese. The proper, real Lebanese, not the fake ones that we have now. Yes. The Lebanese that actually spoke in the language of the Bible. You remember?
Aramaic, yeah.
Aramaic.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
So that piece of land and the history of that land and the visuals of that land is not something that is hidden.
I agree.
And that can easily be subterfuged. You can give fake news. You can give fake interpretations as to what it was like. It wasn't. Because no, it's like somebody talking about Egypt today.
Yeah.
And then trying to tell me about the history of Egypt because some European guy comes and says they interpreted the hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Some of us actually know that there are links to sub-Saharan Africans, people in Sudan, people in Somalia, Kenya, who were accessors to the Nile.
Agreed.
So please, Ethiopian Jews who had relations, who even, although there was been a destruction of the temple, we are still fervent believers in the temple, the Jewish temple, and who were crossers across that bit of land. So that's my perspective.
Yeah.
And what matters to me here is that there is a group of people who are following certain dictates in the Quran and have chosen those dictates because, as far as they are concerned, they don't want peace. They don't want ownership for anybody else. They want ownership for the Arabs, and I agree with that. But they don't want ownership for the Jews, and yet they are both from Abraham. I know it sounds simplistic, but it is not. You cannot deny Ishmael. You cannot deny Isaac. You can't. So when we begin to act as if they don't exist, then it means we don't care about the truth. And I'm sorry to say, Hamas does not care about the truth. Hezbollah does not care about the truth. And please, sir.
I know.
Every time you notice, whenever the Arab Union, or there's a proper
Arab nations. Arab League. Yeah, the Arab League. Yeah.
Whenever the Arab League is getting to a point where, all right, we've had enough of all this killing of ourselves and killing of them, let's sort this out. Then you have a devastating event take place.
Absolutely, I agree.
Notice that there was about to be like an agreement.
Yeah.
There's already been an agreement with Saudi Arabia. There was about a substantial agreement with Saudi Arabia.
Yes, correct.
Then
correct.
suddenly,
Hamas. I
mean, we can't. You see,
it's
all
true.
right.
It's
Not
true.
only that.
It's true.
Let's
It's
look
true.
at it this way.
I fully agree.
How would I react? How would you react? In actual fact, let's even give a real point. Iraq was blasted and destroyed based on some so-called, what is it called?
Weapon of mass.
Libya, what about Libya?
What happened to Libya?
Libya.
What happened to Libya?
In Libya.
Don't
be like that. In Libya, we had an issue. What's the name of our strong man? Muammar Gaddafi. They took Muammar Gaddafi out.
Not Muhammad.
No, excuse me, I'm an African. Are you an African?
Sakamaki, I'm coming.
I'm coming, yeah? It's English.
I'll bring you water as well, inshallah.
English African. To cut a long story short, something took place there. Frankly speaking, I don't agree with it. Although I know the background of it. Look, let's not pretend. Algeria, they had camps.
Iraq and Libya was wrong. You agree? What happened there?
Absolutely wrong. I mean, what are you telling me? I know that now.
That's what happened there.
No. Let's tell ourselves the truth. But there's something else. Let me, and I know I've been talking a lot, but I'm going to get back to this. When people don't want peace, they play a very dangerous game of thesis, false thesis, and antithesis. That is what is going on in Gaza Strip today, and a little bit in the West Bank. You see, the issue there is this: Hamas has an agenda. They came in through the political route, just like Hitler came in through the political route. And after a while, what did he do?
Can I jump in?
You can continue. I wanted to respond.
Go on.
And my only response is I do agree with you, and also agree with you with the political landscape in Gaza and in Palestine, and also agree with you that there are outside forces, Iran and whatever, that don't want peace. But at the same time, there's also people within the Israeli government that don't want peace.
No. See, you know I can prove that it's not so. No, I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm talking of their power of influence. The power of influence is
the right hand man, Netanyahu's right hand man.
I know they talk about him. I know they say he has this antecedents. The man has no power to force Netanyahu to take back Gaza.
I know, but
or to take back the West Bank or East Jerusalem. He can't do it.
No, but annexation, they
why not?
No,
They've been doing it for 70 years.
What do you mean? They haven't been doing it for 70 years.
I don't mean
2000, my brother. 2000.
Are you going somewhere? You're going somewhere. I don't want to go somewhere.
No.
Yeah.
2006. They kicked every Jew out of Gaza Strip. So, I mean, what's the evidence of the fact that they want to?
Israelites will return to take down Islam.